kind of have to react to this. So a lot of things coming full circle. A couple years ago, of course, the Black Sabbath album 13 came out, and there was a big ruckus because the original drummer, Bill Ward, was not on the disc, and there was a lot of slinging about why that was, and there were some erroneously reported rumors that there was a lot of dispute between Bill and the band, and of course it came out later that Ozzy didn't feel like Bill could have done the gig, considering it was going to be the studio album and then also a tour. There's been some mudslinging that has occurred, and that mudslinging has kind of come to a head whenever Bill Ward demanded an apology before he would opt to return to the band. The band, of course, wants to record one final album with the original lineup and then bow off into the sunset. So tonight, in fact, just a couple of hours ago, here on April the whatever, I think this is the 16th of 2015, Ozzy has made a statement public, and you can immediately tell that he didn't really want to make it. So we're going to read this statement and kind of react as we go along, and then talk a little bit about it afterward, just so everybody knows exactly what was said. And these are in the words of Ozzy. I'm not going to do an Ozzy Osbourne impersonation because, in spite of how hilarious that may be, it would also at this point be in very bad taste. So, Ozzy had said, "I never wanted to discuss this in a public forum, but Bill's statements left me no option but to respond honestly." I don't want to actually read Bill's statements for you because they are a bit... the summary I can give is that he's very loose-based about what he's complaining about and demanding an apology for. He really doesn't make it abundantly clear. But Ozzy would go on to say, "Wow, Bill, what the fuck are you on about?" I can imagine him saying, "Well, Bill, what the fuck are you on about?" That doesn't sound like Ozzy at all, but whatever. "I cannot apologize for comments or opinions I may have made about you in the press during Sabbath's 13 album and tour. Physically, you knew that you were fucked. Tony, Iommi, Geezer Butler, and myself didn't think that you could have done a 2-hour set with a drum solo every night, so we made the decision to move on. With Tony's condition, we felt the time was not on our side." Of course, Tony has cancer. "Bill stopped this smokescreen about an unsignable contract, and let's be honest, deep down inside you knew you weren't capable of doing the album and a 16-month tour. I think I said 18. Ozzy just basically shut me up, so that's fine. Unfortunately for you, our instincts were correct, as you were in hospital several times during 2013. Your last hospitalization was for a shoulder surgery that you now say you're only just recovered from. This would have meant that our world tour would have been canceled. So how is this any of my fault? Stop playing the victim and be honest with yourself and our fans. Bill, we go back a long way. Let's stop this now before it gets out of hand. God bless you. Love, Ozzy." So what I'm getting from this is that, of course, back whenever the album was supposed to come out and the tour was supposed to happen, there was rumors of an unsignable contract, that there was a dispute between the Osbournes, notably Sharon and Bill, based around his ability to perform. And at the time, it seemed like all of the mud was being slung in the direction of the Osbournes, and a lot of people were going that direction. And I kind of was as well whenever this first occurred, because that was the only real press that was being granted in response to the activity. And this is before the CKN Reacts series, so there was never one made for that, obviously. The idea hadn't been made yet. Of course, now we're learning that Bill Ward was not in great physical shape. He was not in great physical condition, that he did not look like he was going to be able to perform the full 2-hour set and do a drum solo. The man has had 2 heart attacks. Ozzy really didn't want to have Bill's life in his hands every single night, considering he apparently did not appear to be in any status where he could have done this consistently without having a major medical emergency. So what I'm also getting from this is that recently there has been a lot more in the way of slinging done on Bill Ward's side, and now we have a counteraction from Ozzy, and it seems like a couple of old gents just going at it before trying to patch things up one final time. And all I can say in this matter is that both sides really kind of need to be a little bit honest with themselves here. Bill may have look terrible, Ozzy, but who are you to really tell him that he shouldn't be a part of a full reunion? That's the one thing that I will say about that to defend Bill Ward. It's a very loose-based argument. It's one that easily could be said, to the contrary. Well, he just said it. He didn't want to have his life in the hands. He didn't want to see Bill Ward die on stage or afterward. And that's a very good point. It's a fair point. Bill, you need to understand that Ozzy and Tony and Geezer were just looking out for you. They were looking out for your well-being. They were looking out for a friend, somebody that they found to be... they made one of the... You guys made one of the greatest, if not the greatest, heavy metal bands of all time together. And so, even with all of the internal conflict and all of the rivalries that perhaps occurred, all of the long years of not speaking or associating with one another that occurred, all of the fighting, and all of the things that make it seem like that this is kind of a cold deal, considering you're trying to do one more as a studio band, as a full original lineup band before someone does kick it. You have to understand that they care about your life just as much as they care about Tony's life, just as much as they care, just as much as you care about Ozzy's or you care about Geezer's. This is something that no matter who it was, if there was some sort of issue, this would have been the decision that probably would have been made. It probably just feels a little bit compounded considering the Ozzy and Sharon collective has felt kind of bigger than a lot of things within the past 10 to 20 years, especially the past 10 to 15 with the reality show fame, with Sharon still being all over television, with Ozzy being the figure that he is, and usually the person that gets breathed their name first prior to yours, or prior to Tony's, or perhaps, and prior to Geezer's, It's been less than a day, but we have to supplement more material to this CKN reaction video because Bill Ward has spoken out against what was said last evening by Ozzy Osbourne. Let's read it. Number one, you never wanted to discuss in a public forum, but you did by making all these public comments during your interviews for the 13 album and tour. I was only responding in kind. Don't forget why I spoke out. If you had talked to me and shared your opinions privately, we wouldn't be here today. 2, I was ready and in shape to record. I knew that I would need to get in better shape for the gigs, same as I needed to do and have done in the past. I was beginning my workout regime to get tour ready, or regimen. I knew what I needed to do to play the gigs, and I was confident I would be ready. I would not commit to an extensive tour without believing I could go all the way with it. I wouldn't do that to our fans. 3, shoulder surgery. This was not a surgery that was an immediate necessity or an emergency or something that was prohibitive in terms of playing drums in Sabbath. It wasn't anything like that. I would have elected to do the surgery after we finished touring, but since that didn't come to pass, I scheduled it for the fall of 2013. My other surgery, yes, was unexpected, but who among us knows what curveballs may be coming our way? Having had to recently cancel your own gigs, I think you would understand, or could understand, that and not hold someone to what-ifs. Number 4, the unsignable contract isn't a smokescreen, it's the truth. I've been honest with our fans on where I stand. Your opinions of me are completely immaterial. They have nothing to do with my reason for not participating. The unsignable contract, that's it. I wonder if I'd signed it if any of this would have come up. I imagine we would have made an album and done a tour with the original lineup in place. Hey Oz, it's not going to work. I can see you, and I read your statement. Boy, oh boy. Well, I know I didn't expect you to respond to my request of an apology. By the way, it's pretty easy to go back and really look at what was truth and what was not. I noticed you're including Tony and Geezer in being in full agreement that with my health condition I couldn't have played a 2-hour set with a drum solo. First time I've ever heard about a 2-hour show with a drum solo. But I'm asking you, not them. Why did you stay in the studio working with me? Why did you go to England for band rehearsals in August of 2011? Why did we continue rehearsing in the fall? Why did we make the announcement of 11-11-11? Why did you call me in late January 2012 asking me to come over to England to continue rehearsals? Why, if you thought I was so unhealthy, did you continue with me at all? You know why, Ozzy? Because I was fine, I was playing, I was good to go. I ran into 0 health problems until October 22nd, 2013. Oz, I could have played my ass off in 2012 all the way through to October 22nd, 2013. The shoulder operation was optional, it was quiet, and I needed a wear and tear adjustment. I was fine. I could have gone without surgery, but listen to you hitting back and hard, too. I don't believe a word of it. I am not an enemy. Eternity will show and serve as proof. None of it, Oz. I'm not going to own a fucking thing other than I came into the studio initially overweight to tour, but not overweight to record. I was good to record. All of you know how much I put in, especially when I prepare to tour. Your anticipatory fear has got you by the balls. What fucking smokescreen about an unsignable contract? Yes, let's get honest, I did. It came out in my statement Wednesday, April the 15th, 2015. I'm not playing your quotes. I never did. I don't fuck with sincerity and honesty, period. I've done nothing but bring my truth to the fans. Man, you spin it real well. Sorry I can't love you back, Oz. I put my love for you somewhere safe inside my heart in 2012 when your story started showing up. It's hard to love someone who thinks he's telling the truth by making false claims, elitist comments, and just plain rude statements. It'll show up, Oz, in your dreams, in your daily days. I'm clean and have nothing to feel doubtful about. All of my actions have been of loyalty, honesty, and open-mindedness. Stay safe, old friend. Sad we couldn't roll it out for the fans one more time. I read your speculation and your what-ifs, your doubts. I'm about as far away from being a victim as I am from hell itself. Wow. To supplement through the comments of last evening, I have to say that these are some pretty hearty accusations. This showcases just how much of a two-sided street with two different stories this is really becoming and turning into. But Bill seems to bring up some pretty legitimate proof. He has some dates, but at this point in time, it's become such a catfight. It's really hard to tell which person is in the right, which person is in the wrong. Unfortunately, it seems as though we will not be talking about the final Black Sabbath album with an original lineup. It does not look like that's going to be a possibility at this time. It looks like there's no plans for a reunion and that these comments and this situation may actually sever the bond between Bill Ward and Ozzy Osbourne. That's just what we can read in from this. Of course, all things are subject to change.